Jasper Quill told the whole street that Wade Harland's bride had run from him. His cattle note was ready to break, and the woman who stepped off the eastbound stage was nothing but the wrong bride with a used trunk. Eliza Crane stood in the cedar draw dust with that trunk, a black traveling dress, and a letter already opened by somebody else's hand. Across the street, cattle bawled behind the stock pens, and every man in town knew Quill controlled the bridge Wade needed for his army beef delivery. The man waiting by the hitch rail was tall, lean, and sun-browned, with a gray hat pulled low and a telegram in his left hand. When his eyes found Eliza, they did not move over her as if weighing goods. They stopped on her face with a kind of plain surprise that made her heart hurt worse than mockery would have. "That ain't Corrine Hart," Quill said loudly. The town turned at once. Eliza tightened her gloved hand around the handle of her carpet bag. She was 26 years old enough to know that public humiliation gathered fast and fed on silence. Still, for one breath, she could not speak. She had been sent west with Corrine's trunk, Corrine's ticket, and Corrine's promise of marriage, but she had not been sent with Corrine's face. The rancher by the rail looked down at the telegram. "No," he said, "it is not." Quill's smile widened. "Wade Harland, I believe your bride got prettier sense than to come after all." A few men laughed, not many but enough. Eliza lifted her chin. "My cousin Corrine changed her mind in Abilene. Her father asked me to bring Mr. Harland's letters and return the fare if he would sign receipt for them." That was the cleanest version. It left out Corrine's laugh, her father's cold instruction, and the words "nobody will mind if you do the errand, Eliza, since you were never meant to be chosen anyway." Quill stepped off the mercantile porch. He was dressed in a cream linen coat that had never touched cattle dust. His mustache was waxed to 2 hard points, and a gold watch chain showed across his vest. "Return the fare, that's neighborly, but a fare won't mend a broken marriage bargain. Harland needed a bride with heart money behind her. He got a poor cousin with a used trunk." A clerk who had been smiling at Eliza a moment earlier looked down at his counter book. A ranch wife at the post office window pulled her little boy closer, as if humiliation could stain. Quill had turned a mistake into something the town was already acting on. Eliza felt the words strike the watching street. She had faced unkindness before, but this was different. This town had no memory of her. It could make her nothing in a minute and call the work done. Wade Harland folded the telegram once. Then he crossed the street, picked up Eliza's trunk by one handle, and set it beside his own wagon. The laughter stopped. "The trunk rides to my ranch until Miss Crane decides where she wants it sent," he said. Quill's eyebrows rose. "Careful, Wade. Taking in the wrong bride won't make her the right one." Wade looked at Eliza again. There was no hunger in his look, no claim, only a tired man's anger held under courtesy. "If she came by mistake," he said, "I'll court her by choice or not at all." The street went so quiet Eliza heard a horse stamp inside the livery. Her breath caught, not because he had promised anything, but because he had put the choice back where it belonged. In front of the whole town, after her cousin had treated her like a parcel and Quill had treated her like a joke, Wade Harland had made one thing clear. She was not a mistake for men to pass around. Quill's face cooled. A brave speech does not pay a cattle note. Wade took Eliza's carpet bag from her before she had to ask, but he waited until she released the handle. The small courtesy made something in her chest loosen. "Neither does sneering in the street," Wade said. Quill tapped the telegram with one gloved finger. "The army buyer reaches Glass River crossing in 11 days. Your contract says 800 sound beeves delivered across the river by noon. You lost 2 drovers last night, your chuck wagon cook quit this morning, and your marriage bond just turned into dust. If you miss that delivery, the bank note comes to me." Eliza looked at Wade quickly. There it was, the true pressure under the bride bargain, not romance first. Survival, land, cattle, a ranch on the edge. Wade's jaw worked once. "My herd will cross. Not if my bridge stays closed. There is more than one way across the glass." Quill smiled again, but this time it did not reach his eyes. "Then try the old ford and pray the river likes you." He turned back toward the mercantile, leaving the threat behind him like a snake in dust. Wade opened the wagon door. "Miss Crane, I can take you as far as the Lariat Star. You can rest there tonight. Tomorrow I can send you east with your fare, west to Amarillo, or anywhere else that stage runs. You owe me nothing." Eliza glanced at the watching faces. Some were curious now, some ashamed, some still amused. She had spent most of her life being the useful cousin in a family that loved shine more than steadiness. She could sew, count, cook for crews, read brands, doctor saddle galls, and keep a ledger clear enough that no man could hide theft behind messy figures. None of it had made her chosen. "You said your cook quit," she said. Wade blinked once. "Yes, ma'am." "And 2 drovers left." "Yes." "How many men do you still have?" "6 who will stay if they believe I can pay them." "How many cattle?" 912 when we gathered at sunup. I need 800 across the river." Eliza looked toward the pens where dust rose over horn tips and restless backs. The animals were lean but not poor, trail-marked, nervous from heat and bad handling. She could smell singed coffee from the chuck wagon near the stockyard and knew at once the pot had boiled dry. "My uncle raised beef cattle near Weatherford," she said. "I cooked for his spring drives after Aunt Mee died. I can keep books, count a moving herd, and make beans fit to eat without burning the pot to iron." For the first time, a trace of warmth came into Wade's eyes. "That is more than my last cook managed." "Then hire me. Wages, not charity. If I am no use after 2 days, send me on." Quill had paused by the mercantile door to listen. Wade heard him too. His mouth tightened, but he did not answer for show. He leaned closer so only Eliza could hear. "Trail work is rough. Men talk rougher when they are tired. I will not have you cornered or beholden." "Then don't let me be beholden," she said. "Put it in your book, wages owed, fare held separate, my choice written plain." That did it. He looked at her differently then, not with pity, with recognition. A man measuring not what she lacked, but what she had decided under pressure. "Miss Crane," he said, "you have a bargain." The first 5 minutes of Eliza Crane's life in Cedar Draw did not end with a welcome. It ended with a town seeing the wrong bride climb into Wade Harland's ranch wagon, while the man who wanted his land watched from a mercantile porch and began planning how to make both of them pay. If you like clean frontier romances built on hard choices, subscribe and ride with us. The Lariat Star lay 6 miles west, where the open flats rose into broken red draws and mesquite thinned toward grass. Eliza rode on the wagon seat beside Wade because she refused to sit behind the flour sacks like a rescued parcel. The road passed wind-bent fence lines, dry creek beds, and cattle trails beaten pale through bunchgrass. Heat pressed against them. The sky had no mercy in it. For the first mile, Wade said little. Eliza did not mind. Silence after public shame could be a kindness if it did not expect gratitude. At last he said, "Corrine wrote well." Eliza watched 2 buzzards tilt over a far ridge. She had pretty handwriting. Did she write the letters? The question was quiet, but it landed close. Eliza could have lied. She had been trained by family habit to smooth another woman's path and swallow the splinters. But she had asked for wages and a written choice. Honesty needed to start somewhere. "Some," she said. "She wrote the lively parts. I answered the practical questions. Cattle, weather, pantry lists, how many quilts a ranch house needs in winter. She said men liked usefulness in letters if they thought beauty came with it." Wade's hands stayed steady on the reins. I wondered why a woman who wrote about checking cinches before a storm also wrote that she had never touched a saddle. Eliza closed her eyes for 1 second. So he had known something was wrong even before she stepped down. "Then you knew not to expect her." "I knew to expect trouble. And you came anyway." "A man should meet the trouble he invited." That answer settled beside her, heavy and decent. The ranch appeared after a bend in the road. Lariat Star was not large, but it had once been proud. The house stood low and broad with a tin roof, a deep porch, and a star burned into the gate lintel. Corrals spread behind it. A barn leaned slightly west, as if resisting the wind by habit. Beyond the pens, cattle milled in dusty waves, and 6 men moved among them with the brittle energy of a crew trying not to show fear. An older Mexican vaquero with a white braid under his hat came to the wagon first. "Patron," he said, looking from Wade to Eliza and back again. "The Bay team is ready. Mr. Quill sent word." Wade climbed down. Of course he did. What word? Any man who rides Harlan cattle to Glass River will be refused credit at Quill's store. One of the younger drovers cursed under his breath. Eliza stepped down before Wade could help, not because she wished to reject him, but because the men needed to see she could land on her own feet. Wade noticed. A faint line near his mouth eased. "Miss Crane," he said, "this is Mateo Reyes, my foreman. Mateo, Miss Eliza Crane has agreed to cook and keep tally for the drive." Mateo's eyes took her in, not soft, not insulting, measuring. "Can you make coffee that does not taste like hoof water? If your beans are not already murdered." The young drover who had cursed gave one startled laugh. Mateo's face did not change, but his eyes did. "She may stay near the wagon," Mateo said. "I will stay where the work is," Eliza answered. Wade hid a smile by turning toward the barn. That small, hidden smile warmed her more than it should have. The housekeeper, Mrs. Lark, had died the spring before, Mateo told Eliza while showing her the kitchen. Since then, the men had taken turns cooking, which explained the blackened coffee, the hard biscuits, and the way every tin plate looked as if it had surrendered. The pantry held beans, cornmeal, salt pork, coffee, dried apples, flour, and 2 sacks of onions. Not plenty, but enough if handled carefully. Mateo watched her count the flour and lowered his voice. "Easy with that. Quill's store refused Wade's last credit order before the stage even came in." "And the next wagon?" Eliza asked. "Only if Wade signs what Quill wants." So Quill was already in the kitchen before his rider reached the yard. He was in the short flour, the thin coffee, the men's fear of empty plates. Eliza tied on an apron and understood that supper was not comfort. It was the first fight. She went to work. By sundown, the ranch smelled of coffee worth drinking, beans thickened with onion, and biscuits that rose instead of fought back. Men who had been ready to quit stood around the yard with plates in hand, eating in silence at first, then with low talk. Eliza made them wash before supper. They complained until Wade walked to the pump and washed first. "Boss has gone soft," a freckled drover named Lute muttered. "Boss has gone clean," Eliza said. Mateo gave one short cough that might have been a laugh. When Wade brought his plate back, he did not sit at the head of the porch steps. He sat on the lower rail, leaving the chair near the kitchen door empty. Eliza noticed because men often told women where their place was by where they did not let them sit. "You can take the chair, Miss Crane," he said. "I am hired help." "So am I, until that herd crosses." She sat. The sun dropped red behind the draw. The cattle settled by degrees. For one thin hour, the lariat star breathed like a place that might survive. Then a rider came in hard from the east. He wore Quill's cream-colored cattle badge on his vest and carried a folded paper. He did not dismount before calling. Notice from Jasper Quill, holder of the bridge lease and assignee of Cedar Drawbank Note. Any Harlan cattle attempting to cross Quill Bridge without paid toll, inspection, and feed charge will be held until debts are settled. Wade stood. "Quill does not hold my note. He will at noon tomorrow if the bank clerk does what he was told." The rider tossed the paper into the dust at Wade's feet. The yard changed. Men stopped eating. Someone's fork scraped tin. Eliza saw fear move through the crew faster than wind. Wade picked up the paper but did not unfold it. "Tell Quill if he wants to talk, he can ride out himself." "He said you'd say that." The rider looked toward Eliza. "He also said the wrong bride might be worth something if Harlan signs before she finds out what sort of ruin she climbed into." Wade took one step forward. Eliza stood too. "Tell Mr. Quill I found out before supper." The rider grinned and stayed and asked for wages. For some reason that unsettled him more than anger, he jerked his horse around and rode out. Wade watched until the dust swallowed him. "I am sorry." Eliza picked up her plate again. Her hand trembled, so she held it with both hands. "Do not apologize for another man's poison. Just tell me the truth. How much danger is the ranch in?" The crew pretended not to listen. Wade unfolded the notice. If Quill buys the note, he can force payment within 30 days. If I deliver the Army beef contract, I pay the bank before he can close his fist. If I miss, he takes the herd, the house, the water lot, and the north pasture. Why does he want this ranch? Mateo answered from the yard. The old Kishome spur bends near our grass. Quill wants holding pens and a toll road. He buys land cheap from desperate men, then charges every herd that passes. Eliza looked at Wade. So he needed Kareen's dowry to fail. He needed me to look foolish enough that men would stop trusting my drive. Then we make them trust the drive. Wade studied her. In the lamplight, his face had hard lines of exhaustion, but his eyes were awake. Wade. Eliza should have stepped back from that word. Instead, she felt it rise in her like a match flame. I hired on, she said. I do not cook for lost causes, they sour the beans. That night, Eliza slept in the room off the kitchen with a chair under the latch and her fare money in an envelope Wade had written in front of her. Eliza Crane's stage fare. Not ranch money, not debt, not bride price, hers. She stared at that envelope by the lamp until tears blurred it. Not because the amount was large, because a man who could have used desperation had instead written freedom in ink. In the morning, the work began before dawn. Eliza woke to cattle bawling and boots on the porch. She packed flour, beans, salt, coffee, bacon, dried fruit, vinegar, lard, and 2 jars of peach preserves she found hidden behind the molasses. She inventoried every sack aloud while Mateo scratched marks in the wagon book. Wade brought her a small slate and the ranch tally. 904 head had been counted after night drift. 8 had pushed through a weak brush line and were still missing. Can you count a moving herd? Wade asked. Can your men move them slow enough to be counted? He almost smiled again. That may be the harder trick. For 3 hours, the Lariat Star became a storm of hooves, shouts, dust, and rope. Eliza stood on the wagon tongue with a pencil and slate as cattle pushed through the south gate in bunches of 10 and 12. She did not know every brand at first, but the Split Star Harland mark was clean enough, burned high on the left hip. She called numbers to Mateo. Mateo called corrections when calves doubled back. Wade rode drag with Lute and another hand named Ben Tabor, keeping the rear from breaking into mesquite. Twice Quill's men rode near the fence and watched. Twice Wade ignored them. By noon, Eliza had counted 897 sound head, 11 lame or feverish to leave behind, and 4 still unaccounted. Her face was streaked with dust. Her fingers cramped from gripping the pencil. But when Wade rode up, swung down, and looked at the slate, his expression changed. This is cleaner than my bank tally, he said. Your bank tally was probably kept by a man trying to impress another man. And yours? Mine was kept by a woman trying not to lose supper count in a moving kitchen full of horns. He laughed then, a real laugh surprised from him. The men heard it. Eliza heard it too and felt heat rise under the dust on her cheeks. It was not possession. It was not rescue. It was a man seeing her skill and finding joy in it under danger. That was more dangerous to her heart than Quill's insults. They rolled before 2 in the afternoon. The chuck wagon led, creaking under supplies. The herd followed in a long, dusty river, pushed by men who had decided, at least for the moment, to see the gamble through. Wade rode between point and swing, always turning, always counting. Mateo moved like old leather and patience. Eliza drove the wagon because the former cook had left with the teamster, and no one else trusted the mules not to bolt. The first day covered 8 hard miles. Quill's pressure came before dusk. A plank had been pulled from the low crossing over dry Sister Creek, just enough to drop a wagon wheel and crack an axle if a driver hit it at speed. Eliza saw the gap because the mules balked. She hauled them back, climbed down, and found fresh pry marks. Lute spat into the creek bed. Quill's work. No proof, Ben said. Proof does not mend a bridge, Eliza said. Wood does. The men looked at her. She pointed to a fallen cottonwood limb. Cut that. 2 short braces, 1 long face board. Rope it tight until the wagon clears. Lute frowned. You ever mend a crossing? No, but I have mended a henhouse door, a porch step, and my uncle's wash stand after a bull calf walked through it. Wait wants support. It is not a sermon. Mateo handed her an axe handle. Show him where. They worked until sunset reddened the dry creek walls. Wade did not take the job from her. He hauled, braced, and pulled where she directed, and when the wagon rolled across without dropping, the crew gave a low cheer. Eliza pretended to check the harness, so they would not see what that sound did to her. That night, under a sky hard with stars, the men ate beans sweetened with the hidden peaches, and morale rose by inches. Wade came to the far side of the cook fire while Eliza scrubbed the coffee pot with sand. You saved the axle. The mules saved it by having more sense than men. That is often true. She looked up and found him watching her hands, not in a way that made her want to hide them, in a way that made her feel the burns, scars, and work-rough knuckles were being honored. Did Corrine know you were coming in her place? He asked. Eliza's throat tightened. She packed my bag. Wade's face hardened. She said you would either send me home or keep me for pity. Either way, she would be free of the embarrassment. You were not an embarrassment. You did not know me. I knew the way you stood when Quill tried to make you small. She turned the pot in her hands. Standing is not hard. Standing alone is. The fire snapped between them. Men talked on the other side of camp. Cattle shifted in the dark. Eliza knew she should answer lightly. Instead, the truth came out because exhaustion had thinned her defenses. I have stood beside other women all my life and still been alone. Wade did not move closer. That mattered. He let the words be. Then I am glad you are being paid wages, he said. A woman should not have to earn belonging by being grateful. Eliza looked at him sharply. Is that what you think I am doing? No, I think you are deciding whether this place is safe enough to want anything from it. She had no answer. He stood then as if he knew staying longer would press her. Sleep near the wagon. Mateo will put his bedroll between yours and the herd side. I will be by the remuda. Mr. Harlan. He stopped. Thank you for the envelope. He nodded. It was always yours. But it had not always been. Not in the world Eliza knew. And because he understood that without making a grand speech, she slept more deeply than she expected beside a herd that could ruin them all by morning. The second day brought heat like a judgment. By noon, 2 cattle had gone lame. 1 mule had rubbed a raw place under harness, and a water barrel had leaked half its contents because someone had loosened the plug. Eliza found wax shavings near the wagon bed and a thin smear of tobacco ash that smelled like the rider who had brought Quill's notice. The damage was small enough to deny and large enough to kill the drive. The next water was miles ahead. Quill's store would sell them no replacement barrel on credit, and thirsty cattle would not care whether sabotage could be proven in court. This time, she said nothing at first. She cut a new plug from a green branch, wrapped it in flour sack cloth, sealed it with softened beeswax from her sewing kit, and made the men water the mules before any man drank. Lute objected. Men first. Mules pull supper, Eliza said. You can walk with your own complaints. Mateo smiled openly for the first time. By late afternoon, they reached Bitter Root Flats, a stretch of open ground where Quill's toll road cut toward Glass River. A sign stood at the fork, Quill Bridge 9 miles, Old Ford 14 miles, no credit AT Ford. Ben Tabor reined in beside Wade. Boss, the Old Ford is a bad bed. My cousin lost 20 head there in spring. This is not spring. No, but there are rumors Quill dammed brush upstream to make it worse. Wade looked toward the bridge road. Quill's route was shorter, safer, controlled, and priced to destroy him. The Old Ford was longer, riskier, and free if it could be crossed at all. Eliza saw the crew waiting for certainty Wade did not have. She climbed down, took the coffee pot from the wagon, and poured the last thick swallow onto the dust at the base of Quill's sign. Every man stared. There, she said. That is what his credit is worth to us until the river says different. Lute began to grin. Ben shook his head, but his shoulders eased. Mateo crossed himself and muttered in Spanish that brave women were trouble from heaven. Wade looked at Eliza, as if she had opened a door in a locked room. "Old Ford," he said. The herd turned west. That choice cost them. Quill had men waiting along the longer trail. They did not attack. They did worse. They appeared at ridges and vanished. They lit small dust fires upwind. They pushed loose horses near the herd at dusk. They called to the younger drovers, promising cash wages and store credit if they walked away before Glass River. Every trick had a price attached to it. A dust fire meant cattle drank harder. A loose horse meant tired men rode wider. A whispered offer meant one more drover looked at the chuck wagon and wondered whether Quill's store shelves were safer than Wade's promise. One drover did. His name was Nat Reeve, and he left after midnight with his bedroll and Wade's spare bay. Mateo caught the missing horse before sunrise, but Nat was gone, and so were 2 sacks of flour from the wagon. Eliza stood over the empty flour space and felt the loss like a hand around the throat. Food was morale. Food was movement. Food was the difference between tired men staying and tired men deciding survival belonged somewhere else. Wade came to the wagon, saw the gap, and said one word under his breath that was not fit for church. "How far to the next water?" Eliza asked. 12 miles. "How far to Glass River?" 3 days if we keep them moving, 4 if they scatter. Then we do not waste anger on Nat. Wade looked toward the empty trail. "He stole from you. He stole from the drive. If you make this about me, the men will pity me. If you make it about the drive, they will guard the wagon." He took that in. "You think like a foreman. I think like a woman who has had to keep households from noticing they were poor." They rationed flour and stretched cornmeal. Eliza turned beans into cakes, cakes into hash, hash into soup. Men grumbled and then ate. Wade gave his own biscuit to loot when the boy swayed in the saddle, thinking no one saw. Eliza saw. Later, she slipped half of her own portion into Wade's plate while he checked saddle straps. He noticed. "Miss Crane, do not scold me. I was going to say thank you." "Oh," she looked away. "Then do not do that either." His mouth softened. "Why?" "Because kindness makes foolish hopes talk." The words hung between them. Wade's voice lowered. "Then I will answer plainly before they lie to you. I like your foolish hopes if they are the ones I think they are. But I will not ask anything of them while my ranch is under a note and your fare sits in an envelope." Eliza's heart beat hard enough to hurt. "What would you ask if both were free?" she said. He looked toward the herd, the men, the long dust trail, and the sky burning white over all of it. "I would ask if I might court you after the crossing, with no bargain tied to your answer." She had heard proposals that sounded like purchases and compliments that sounded like traps. This was neither. It was almost unbearable because it offered her the one thing she had never trusted would be offered cleanly: time and the right to refuse. "Then get your herd across," she said. "Is that an answer?" "It is a trail order." He smiled, tired and real. "Yes, ma'am." For more clean Western romance, wrong brides, lonely ranchers, and frontier families fighting for home, subscribe to the channel. The midpoint of the drive came at a place called Split Rock, where the trail narrowed between 2 red bluffs and the cattle had to pass in a thin stream. It should have been simple. It became the first true break. Quill's men had dragged thorn brush into the passage and tied tin pans to it with wire. When the lead cattle pushed close, the pans clattered. The herd shied, bunched, and rolled back against itself. Horns struck hides. Dust rose so thick Eliza could not see the far side. Men shouted. A horse screamed, not in death, but fear. Wade rode into the dust to turn the lead. Mateo swung wide. Lute lost his hat and nearly his seat. The wagon team backed hard, eyes white. Eliza grabbed the mule bridles and spoke low, steady nonsense because animals trusted tone before meaning. The wagon wheels slid toward the wash edge. She set her shoulder against the near mule's neck and pulled with everything she had. "Easy, Ruth, easy, Queen. You are not fools because men are." A steer broke from the herd and came straight toward the wagon. Ben shouted from somewhere unseen. Eliza had no time to run. She snatched the flour sack hanging from the wagon bow and snapped it wide. The steer swerved from the sudden pale flash, struck the sideboard instead of her body, and stumbled past. The wagon lurched. One rear wheel dropped into a rut. The coffee chest slid. The water barrel tilted. Eliza threw herself over the barrel and held the rope with both hands. If the water went, the drive died. The barrel dragged her halfway across the wagon bed before the rope caught. Pain shot through her wrist. She held anyway. Then Wade was there, swinging down hard, grabbing the barrel with one arm and her with the other. Together, they shoved it back into place. "Are you hurt?" he demanded. "Yes," she said through clenched teeth, "but not enough to stop." He looked at her wrist. "Wade, the hurt." He tore his gaze away and mounted again. This time he did not ride to the lead. He rode to the brush trap. Under cover of dust and noise, Quill's men had built fear into the trail. Wade leaned low, cut the wire loose with his knife, and dragged the clattering brush away from the pass. The sound stopped. Mateo and the others pushed. Slowly, dangerously, the cattle began moving forward again. They lost 7 head in the confusion. One horse went lame. Lute's arm was bruised from shoulder to elbow. Eliza's wrist swelled purple by nightfall. But they passed Split Rock. That evening, no one spoke much. The men knew now that Quill was not merely trying to delay them. He was willing to cause a stampede and let bodies pay for his bridge toll. Wade wrapped Eliza's wrist with a strip of clean cloth near the cook fire. His hands were careful, too careful. His anger made them gentle. "You should not have had to hold that barrel." The water did not ask my opinion. "I am serious." "So am I." She watched his fingers tie the knot. "You cannot keep me safe by wishing me away from the work." "I know." "Do you?" He looked up. She met his eyes even though it frightened her. "My family kept me safe by keeping me useful and unseen. Corrine kept me safe from disappointment by making certain no one looked at me. I am tired of that kind of safety." The fire threw light along his cheekbone. Beyond him, the herd shifted under guard. In that moment, he looked less like a desperate rancher and more like a man standing before a door he wanted to open but would not touch without permission. "Then tell me what kind you want," he said. Eliza swallowed. "The kind where I can stand beside a man in danger and still hear him ask, not order. The kind where he sees I am afraid and does not make fear my master. The kind where if I leave, the door opens, and if I stay, the chair is mine because I chose it." Wade's thumb brushed the edge of the bandage. It was the smallest touch, and he stopped at once, waiting. Eliza turned her hand, just enough that her fingers rested against his. "That kind," she said. He bowed his head over their joined hands, not kissing them, not claiming them, only letting the moment hold. "Then I will spend whatever days I have proving it," he said. The next morning, proof cost him. At dawn, they found Ben Tabor gone. Unlike Nat, Ben left no theft behind. He left a note tucked under Wade's saddle blanket. "Quill offered me wages for my family and medicine for my mother. I am sorry. He says the bridge will open if Harland signs the North Pasture option before noon at Glass River. If not, he means to take the army buyer himself with Harland cattle hidden in Sycamore Bend." Wade read the note twice. His face went still. Mateo cursed softly. "Sycamore Bend is below the old ford." "Can it hold cattle?" Eliza asked. "With brush panels," Mateo said. "A man could hide 200 head there from the trail." Lute looked sick. "Harland cattle." Wade handed Eliza the note. "Quill has been lifting strays since spring. I thought we were losing them to breaks in fence." Eliza read the line again. "Harland cattle hidden in Sycamore Bend." This was the shape of Quill's plan. Not only block the crossing, not only buy the note. He meant to appear at the army camp with enough Harland cattle to claim Wade had defaulted, mismanaged, or tried to cheat the contract. Then he would take the note, the herd, the ranch, and the public story. "We need those cattle," she said. Mateo shook his head. "If we turn for Sycamore Bend, we lose half a day. If we do not, Quill reaches the buyer with stolen beef." Wade looked west, where heat already trembled over the trail. "The main herd cannot leave water." Eliza folded the note. "Then take a small party. I will go, Wade said. No. Every man looked at her. She felt the boldness of it and stood inside it anyway. If you leave the main herd, Quill wins. The men are holding because you are here. Mateo can keep them together, but they need your name at the front. And who goes to Sycamore? I do. Wade's answer was immediate. No. Eliza's face warmed, but she did not step back. You said ask, not order. His jaw closed. I can count brands, she said. I can drive the chuck wagon along the lower draw. Quill's men will watch the herd, not the cook wagon. Lute can ride with me if his arm holds. Mateo knows the bend. Mateo studied her for a long moment. I know the back cut. Wade looked at his foreman. You are not helping. I am answering. Eliza touched the envelope in her apron pocket. She had carried her fare since leaving Lariat's Star, not because she planned to run, but because feeling its edges reminded her the choice was real. Now she pulled it out and held it toward Wade. Keep this until I return. He recoiled slightly. No, that is yours. I know, I am not giving it up. I am putting a reason in your hand to believe I mean to come back. The silence that followed was deeper than refusal. Wade took the envelope slowly. Eliza, he said, using her first name for the first time, and the sound of it nearly broke her courage. I am not doing this to earn a place, she said. I am doing it because the place I might choose is under attack. His eyes changed. Whatever answer he might have made was too private for the watching men. He turned to Mateo. Take Lute and 2 fresh horses. If you see more than 4 of Quill's men, you turn back. If I see 4 men stealing your cattle, Mateo said, I will be offended by their poor manners. Wade did not smile. Eliza climbed onto the wagon seat with one bandaged wrist, a kettle tied down, and fear pressing against her ribs. Wade came to the side. If trouble comes, leave the wagon. I know. If they threaten the team, cut the traces. I know. If Quill is there. Wade. He stopped. She leaned down just enough that the men could not hear. Ask me when the herd crosses. For one breath, all the heat and dust and danger narrowed to his face. I will, he said. Sycamore Bend lay in a lower cut where cottonwoods grew thick along a hidden curve of the glass. The back trail was rough, and twice the wagon nearly lodged between stones. Mateo rode ahead, reading sign. Lute followed with his bruised arm tied close but his eyes sharp. Eliza drove slowly, every jolt running pain through her wrist. They heard cattle before they saw them. Not many at first, a low, restless murmur under leaves. Then the bend opened, and Eliza saw brush panels woven between trees, a crude holding pen, and Harlan cattle packed in shade with dry tongues and angry eyes. The Split Star brand marked hip after hip. 2 of Quill's men sat under a cottonwood playing cards. Mateo's face became stone. How many? He whispered. Eliza counted fast through brush and movement. 160, maybe more in the far pocket. Enough to break Wade. Lute shifted in his saddle. We can cut the panel and push them. They will scatter into the river brush, Mateo said. Eliza looked at the pen, the wagon, the water line, and the slope toward the old ford. A memory came from her uncle's drives. Cattle in strange confinement would follow feed, water, or a familiar sound. Harlan cattle knew the Lariat Star Bell Mare, but the Bell Mare was with the Remuda. They had no lead. Then she remembered the coffee triangle hanging from the chuck wagon bow. Every meal on the drive, she had struck it 3 times. Cattle near camp had begun to lift their heads at the sound because men moved after it and scraps followed. Cut the near panel, she said. Not wide, just enough for a slow spill. Mateo looked at her, and Eliza untied the iron triangle and striker. Then we feed them hope. She climbed down, ignoring Lute's hissed protest, and walked into the open. One of Quill's men stood. Hey, you there? Eliza struck the triangle 3 times. The clear metal note rang through Sycamore Bend. The cattle nearest the wagon lifted their heads. I said stop. Mateo moved behind the brush with his knife. Lute rode wide, placing himself between the men and Eliza. Eliza struck the triangle again, then tossed handfuls of cornmeal from a sack onto the ground near the panel. It was not enough to feed a calf. It was enough to pull noses toward the gap. The first steer pushed through. Then 3. Then 12. Quill's men ran for their horses. Mateo dropped the brush panel. Lute whooped and swung his horse, driving the spill toward the slope. Eliza climbed onto the wagon seat and snapped the reins. The mules lunged forward. Behind her, the stolen Harlan cattle came out of Sycamore Bend in a ragged, bawling stream, following sound, dust, and the smell of feed. One rider tried to grab the wagon bridle. Eliza swung the triangle chain at his hand. He cursed and fell back. She did not look to see if he was badly hurt. She only drove. The chase to the main herd lasted less than an hour and felt like a whole season of fear. Mateo and Lute kept the stolen cattle from turning into brush. Quill's men trailed at a distance, not brave enough to rush them, but close enough to carry warning. When Eliza saw the dust cloud of Wade's main herd, relief struck so hard she nearly sobbed. Wade saw them coming. He rode out alone first, then checked himself and signaled 2 men to hold the herd line. He did not abandon the drive. He had listened. Eliza loved him a little for that before she was ready to use the word. The recovered cattle merged badly, pushing and bawling, but Mateo guided the flow. Wade rode near the wagon only when the line steadied. "How many?" he asked. 178 by my count, Eliza said, breathless. All split star. His eyes went to her bandaged wrist, then the dust on her dress, then the triangle in her lap. "You rang supper for stolen cattle." It seemed rude not to invite them back. Lute laughed so hard he coughed. Wade's face broke into a smile, and for one shining moment, danger lost its hold on the trail. Then the rider appeared on the ridge. Jasper Quill sat on a black horse above them, cream coat bright against the red land. He watched the recovered cattle enter Wade's herd. He did not shout. He did not threaten. He simply turned his horse toward Glass River. Mateo's smile vanished. He rides to the bridge. Wade looked west. Then we ride to the old ford. The last day before the crossing was all pressure. The herd was larger now, but more tired. The men were proud, but frightened. Quill had lost his hidden cattle trick, which meant his next move would not be subtle. The trail dropped toward Glass River through broken cottonwoods and sandbars. Heat built, then a bank of clouds rose in the north, dark and bruised. "Storm above the river," Mateo said. Wade watched the sky. "If rain hits upstream, the ford may rise." "Can we beat it?" Eliza asked. "We have to." They pushed harder than they should have. Cattle stumbled. Men snapped. Eliza kept coffee moving, water counted, strips of bacon passed from hand to hand as they rode. She had no flour left for decent bread, so she made hard corn cakes in a skillet and wrapped them in cloth. Wade ate his while riding and did not complain. Near sundown, they reached a ridge above Glass River. The old ford spread below, wide and ugly. Water moved brown over stone shelves, not deep at the edges but fast in the middle. Cottonwoods lined both banks. Beyond the crossing, a flat of trampled grass marked the Army buyers' camp, though no tents were visible yet. Farther downriver, Quill Bridge stood new and white, with 2 gates, a toll shack, and Quill's riders moving like dark pins along the rail. The legal road was his. The dangerous water was theirs. Wade called the men in. "We cross at first light." Mateo looked at the clouds. "If the river rises, then we cross sooner." The argument began quietly and grew. Lute said the herd needed rest. Another hand, Sim Barlow, said men needed sleep. Mateo said crossing tired cattle in half-dark was asking for a wreck. Wade listened, but Eliza saw the trap. Quill wanted delay. The clouds would make the old ford worse by dawn. The bridge would remain closed until Wade signed. She walked down to the water with a lantern and her skirts gathered. Wade followed at once. "Do not go near the cut bank," he said. "Then walk beside me." He did. At the water's edge, Eliza knelt and dipped her fingers in. Cold, fast, she watched foam catch on stones. Her uncle had taught her to read current by what it carried. Leaves meant surface speed. Sticks meant pull. Sand clouds meant bottom shift. "It is rising already," she said. Wade crouched beside her. "You know rivers too." "I know when a thing is changing under its own face." He looked at her then, and she knew he was not only thinking of water. "We cross tonight," she said. "The men will hate it. They will hate drowning more." He rubbed both hands over his face, suddenly weary enough that she saw the cost of every choice. If he ordered a night crossing and lost men, he would carry it forever. If he waited and lost the ranch, every man depending on him would scatter under Quill's thumb. Eliza put her uninjured hand on his sleeve. "Ask them for a vote if you must, but tell them the whole truth. Quill is not the river. The river only rises. Quill waits." Wade covered her hand with his for 1 second. "You make a man braver and more afraid at once." "Good, he needs both." They went back to camp. Wade did not order first. He told the men what Eliza had seen. He told them the ford was rising, the bridge was a trap, and the army buyer would not wait on excuses. He told them any man who wanted to leave could take wages owed from his own pocket, written in the book, and ride back without shame. No one moved. Then Lute stood. "I ain't letting Quill say a woman held a water barrel, stole back cattle, and crossed more courage than me." "It was not stealing back," Eliza said. "It was correcting ownership." The men laughed, short and nervous, but laughter was breath. Mateo pointed toward the wagon. "We cross now. Triangle woman leads the cook wagon after the first 50. Cattle know the sound." Wade opened his mouth, closed it, and looked at Eliza. She met his eyes. "Ask, not order." His voice roughened. "Will you drive the wagon to the middle bar if Mateo and I hold the sides?" Fear rose cold in her throat. She looked at the river, the herd, the men, the bridge lights downriver, and the envelope Wade still carried inside his vest. "Yes," she said, "but when we reach the far bank, you owe me a question." He took off his hat for one breath, as if they stood in church instead of dust. "I do." They began the crossing under a sky flickering far off with lightning. First went Mateo with 3 lead steers and the oldest horse. The cattle resisted, then stepped, then plunged. Water slapped their knees, then bellies. The herd bawled. Men shouted. Wade rode along the near edge, turning heads toward the ford. Eliza held the wagon team, waiting until Mateo lifted his arm from the first gravel bar. "Now," Wade called. She struck the triangle 3 times. The sound rang bright and absurd over the river. The mules surged. Water hit the wagon wheels with a force that nearly stole the reins from her hands. Eliza braced her boots against the footboard. The team fought the current, ears back, shoulders straining. Behind her, the first wave of cattle followed, drawn by motion and pressure and the familiar sound that had come to mean order in chaos. Halfway across, a log spun downriver and struck the wagon's rear wheel. The wagon lurched. Eliza cried out but held the reins. The rear swung sideways. If it turned broadside, the current would take it, team and supplies, and perhaps her with it. Wade rode in from the left, water up to his horse's chest. Eliza cut the rear lash. She looked back. The flower chest, empty now, had come loose and jammed against the wheel, catching current like a door. She wrapped the reins around the brake handle, grabbed Wade's knife from where he tossed it into the wagon bed, and crawled back. The wagon pitched. Water sprayed her face. The chest rope pulled tight as iron. "Eliza," Wade shouted. She saw him fighting to stay near, risking his horse to keep the team from panicking. She saw Mateo downstream, turning cattle away from the deep chute. She saw Lute on the far bank waving the first group through. She cut the rope. The chest flew loose and vanished into the brown water. The wagon snapped straight. Eliza scrambled back to the seat, seized the reins, and drove. When the front wheels struck the middle gravel bar, men cheered from both banks. The cattle came harder now, too many at once. Wade turned to push them left. A steer stumbled against his horse. For one terrible second, horse and rider vanished behind horns and spray. Eliza struck the triangle again and again, not caring if it sounded like madness. The lead cattle shifted toward the wagon. The pressure eased. Wade's horse lunged free. He was still mounted. Eliza could not breathe until he lifted one hand to show he was alive. Then a shout came from downstream. Quill's riders had opened the bridge gate and were driving a knot of cattle toward the toll road, trying to pull part of Wade's herd away in the confusion. Jasper Quill himself rode near the bridge approach, calling that the Ford cattle were trespassing, that the army buyer would reject mixed, water-stressed stock, that any man who crossed without inspection would lose wages in court. Fear shook the line. Sim Barlow pulled back. 2 other hands hesitated. Cattle began to split toward the easier white bridge. Wade was still in the water. Mateo was downstream. The herd was at the breaking point. Eliza drove the wagon off the middle bar onto the far bank, then stood on the seat with the triangle in one hand and Wade's knife in the other. "Loot," she shouted. "Open the far rope." He stared. "Open it." The far rope marked the holding fan Mateo had set for cattle already crossed. If opened too soon, they might scatter. If kept closed, the pressure behind them would turn the herd. Loot cut the rope. Eliza struck the triangle and drove the wagon along the far bank, not away from the herd but parallel to it, giving the cattle a moving line to follow. The crossed cattle spread into the grass instead of bunching. The animals still in the river saw space, heard the triangle, and pushed toward her rather than Quill's bridge. "Come on," she shouted, though cattle cared nothing for English. "Come home, you stubborn fools." The men took up the motion. Loot waved his hat. Mateo shouted from downstream. Wade rode back into the current, turning the split. 1 by 1, then 10 by 10, then in a heavy brown rush, the Lariat Star herd chose the old Ford. By the time the moon rose through storm clouds, 836 Harlan cattle stood on the far side of Glass River. They were across. Men sank to the ground. Horses hung their heads. Eliza sat on the wagon step with shaking legs and did not trust herself to stand. Her dress was soaked to the knees. Her wrist throbbed. Her voice was nearly gone. Wade came to her through trampled grass. For a moment, neither spoke. Then he reached inside his vest and took out the envelope. It was damp at the edges but whole. "Your fare," he said. Eliza took it because the choice had to remain real. Downriver, lanterns moved at Quill Bridge. Men were shouting. A new sound came over the water, wagon wheels and military harness. The army buyer had arrived. Wade looked toward the lights. "It is not finished." Eliza tucked the envelope into her pocket, then asked later. "No." The word startled her. He removed his hat. Around them, the crew was close enough to see but too tired to pretend not to. "Eliza Crane, when this contract is paid and your wages are counted separate from every debt I owe, may I come to your door and ask to court you properly?" Her eyes burned. Quill's voice carried from the bridge before she could answer. "Harlan, you cross Wild and call that delivery. Those cattle are uninspected, uncounted, and mixed with stolen stock." Wade did not turn. He waited on Eliza. That waiting, in front of debt and threat and a shouting enemy, answered every fear Corrine had planted. "Yes," Eliza said. "You may ask, and if you ask at my door, I expect you to wipe your boots." The crew broke into exhausted laughter. Wade's smile came slow and bright. Then Jasper Quill rode into camp with the army buyer, the bank clerk, and 3 bridge men behind him. The climax did not come as a speech. It came as a count. Captain Hiram Bellwether, the army buyer, was a square-built man with gray side whiskers and dust on his cuffs. He did not look impressed by anyone's drama. He looked at the cattle, the river, and the men, then at Wade. "Mr. Quill says these beeves were driven across an unsafe ford to avoid legal toll and inspection." Wade nodded once. They were driven across the old public ford because Quill closed the bridge against contract delivery. Quill laughed. "Public ford? That ford has not been used for army stock in 5 years." Eliza climbed down from the wagon. Every muscle objected. Captain Bellwether looked at her. "And you are?" "Eliza Crane, hired cook and tally keeper for the Lariat Star Drive." Quill's smile sharpened. "The wrong bride, Captain. Harlan's judgment has been poor all week." Wade took one step, but Eliza lifted her hand without looking back. He stopped. That mattered, the captain saw it. Eliza held out her slate book. I counted 897 sound Harlan cattle leaving the ranch, minus losses and lames marked here. We recovered 178 Harlan cattle from Sycamore Bend, where Mr. Quill's men had them penned behind brush. We crossed 836 tonight. They carry Wade Harland's Split Star brand, and your men may count them by lantern. Quill snorted. A cook's slate. A cook fed the men who brought the cattle, Eliza said. A cook can count. Captain Bellwether took the slate. Quill leaned from his saddle. Captain, this is absurd. Harlan is using a woman to cover mismanagement. Those Sycamore cattle are disputed stray stock. Then why did your rider know they were there before we found them? Eliza asked. Quill's face froze for half a second. It was enough. The bank clerk looked at him. Jasper. Eliza pulled Ben Tabor's note from her pocket. She had kept it dry in an oilcloth scrap. Ben Tabor wrote that Mr. Quill offered wages and medicine if he left the drive and warned us about the hidden cattle. I do not know if Mr. Tabor will stand by it. I know the cattle stood where he said. Quill recovered. A stolen note from a deserter. No court will honor it. Good thing this is a delivery count, Captain Bellwether said, not a court. Quill's jaw tightened. The captain handed the slate to his sergeant. Count the first 200 by brand. If the ratio holds, we continue. Quill saw control slipping. He drove his horse forward toward Eliza, not enough to trample, enough to make her step back. Wade moved then, placing himself beside her, not in front. One more step, Wade said quietly, and your horse answers to mine. No weapon, no flourish, only a horseman warning another horseman. Quill reined in. You think a night count saves you? I hold the bank assignment as of noon. The bank clerk cleared his throat. He was young, pale, and sweating through his collar. Not exactly. Quill turned slowly. The clerk swallowed. The assignment required failure of delivery or sign transfer. Mr. Harlan has not failed delivery yet. You work for me if you expect credit in this town, Quill said. The clerk's face changed. Fear was still there, but shame rose beside it. My father works for the bank, I work for the bank, and Mrs. Crane. Miss Crane, Eliza said. Miss Crane's count appears to match the first tally. Quill reached for the slate. Eliza moved faster. Injured wrist and all, she snatched it back and stepped onto the wagon tongue. No, she said. The word cracked over the camp. Quill stared at her as if no woman had ever denied his hand in public, and remained standing. Give me that book, he said. It is not yours. Nothing here is yours. Eliza looked at Wade, then at the herd, the men, the captain, the clerk, Mateo, with river water still running from his chaps, loot bruised and grinning with fear. She thought of Corrine's trunk, her envelope, the chair by the kitchen door. The way Wade had asked in front of danger because choice mattered before victory. That is where you are wrong, she said. My wages are mine, my answer is mine, and this tally is mine until the buyer finishes counting. Quill's last defense came ugly. He turned to the crew. Any Harlan man who leaves now gets double wages at my bridge yard. Stay, and when this count fails, you get nothing but a woman's promises and Harlan's empty land. For a moment, temptation walked through the camp. Men were tired. Money mattered. Quill knew exactly where hunger lived. Then Mateo rode his horse between Quill and the crew. I risked my life in that river, he said. I will not sell it back to the man who tried to drown the drive. Lute stepped beside the wagon. Miss Crane fed me when I was too proud to say I was hungry. Sim Barlow took off his hat. Harlan paid late once. Quill cheated early every time. One by one, the men stayed. That was the moment Quill lost more than an argument. He lost obedience. The count took until near dawn. Eliza stood through it, though Wade asked twice if she would sit. She would not while Quill waited for weakness. The sergeant called brands, the clerk marked. Captain Bellwether checked teeth, legs, and general soundness under lantern light. 50, 100, 200, 400, 600, 800. At 812 accepted beeves, Wade closed his eyes. At 8:30, Captain Bellwether signed the delivery receipt. "Contract met," he said. "Payment draft to Wade Harlland of Lariat Star Ranch." Quill's face went gray in the lantern light. The captain turned to him. "As for your bridge complaint, I will report that your closed toll gate interfered with federal beef delivery. Until reviewed, no Army herd uses Quill Bridge." The blow landed visibly. Quill's toll road, his proud white bridge, his future money, all struck by one sentence. The bank clerk found his courage at last. And without failed delivery, Mr. Quill has no assignment on the Harlland note. Wade took the signed receipt. Then he handed it to Eliza first. "You kept the count," he said. She looked at the paper but did not hold it long. "You kept the men." "No," Mateo said from behind them. "She kept the men fed, he kept them paid. The cattle kept us humble." Captain Bellwether gave the closest thing to a smile. His face seemed built to allow. Quill tried to leave quietly. Eliza saw him turn his horse toward the bridge and knew quiet departure was not enough. If he rode away with his bridgemen, his toll gate, and his story, he would shape the tale by noon. Men like Quill survived by leaving before truth finished speaking. "Captain," she said, "you counted our cattle, will you count his?" Quill stopped. Captain Bellwether looked at her, meaning. If Mr. Quill claims Sycamore Bend cattle were disputed strays, he should have no Harlan-branded cattle in his bridge pens. The bridgemen shifted. Quill laughed, but it cracked. "Ridiculous." "Then open the pens," Wade said. The captain looked at the sergeant. "Take 4 men." Quill kicked his horse forward as if to block them. Mateo moved first, not touching him, only placing his horse across the path. Lute and Sim closed the other side. Quill found himself surrounded not by guns, not by law, but by men he had tried to buy and failed. At the bridge pens, they found 31 more split-star cattle with fresh mud smeared over the brands. No long explanation was needed. The proof stood breathing under lantern light. One of Quill's own bridge hands looked at the mud on the brands, then at Eliza's slate, and took 2 slow steps away from his employer. The bank clerk folded the assignment paper and put it back in his coat unsigned. Captain Bellwether's face hardened. "Mr. Quill, your bridge is closed to Army traffic pending inquiry. These cattle return to Harlan count or compensation." The bank clerk spoke next, voice shaking but audible. "Cedar Draw Bank will not accept assignment from you while stock theft is under complaint." Quill looked at Wade with pure hatred. "You think this ends me?" Eliza answered before Wade could. "No, you ended the part where everyone was afraid to count." That line moved through the men like dawn. Quill's practical losses happened in plain sight. His bridge gate was chained by the captain's sergeant for federal review. His hidden cattle were marked in the Army book. His bank assignment failed. His bridge men, seeing wages tied to a closing toll road, began asking the clerk if the bank needed haulers. By sunrise, Jasper Quill still had his cream coat, his black horse, and his anger. But he no longer had Wade's note, the Army route, the stolen cattle, or the crew's fear. That was frontier justice. Not neat, not complete, but visible enough that the old control could not simply continue. The ride back to Lariat Star took 4 slower days. They did not return with all the cattle they had driven out. No honest drive did. They returned with a paid contract, tired horses, bruised bodies, and men who sat a little straighter in the saddle. The recovered 31 followed in a small trailing bunch, as if embarrassed to have been found in Quill's pens. Eliza rode the wagon with her wrist splinted. Wade rode near, but not too near. The envelope lay in her pocket. Her wages were marked in the book, separate from fare, separate from gratitude, separate from any question he had asked under storm light. On the second evening homeward, Ben Tabor rode into camp. The crew went silent. Ben looked worse than any of them. His hat was gone. His lip was split. He kept both hands visible and stopped well outside the fire ring. "I came to speak," he said. Wade stood. "Speak." Ben looked at Eliza first. "Quill did offer medicine for my mother. That part was true. He gave me $5 and a promise. When I went back after leaving the note, he said I had earned nothing because Harlan still moved. I found out he never sent medicine. I rode to Cedar Draw and told the bank clerk where the Sycamore cattle came from. He said I should tell you too. Lute's face twisted. You stole flour. Ben nodded. I did. And left us hungry. I did. Eliza watched Wade. This was the kind of betrayal that could be softened too easily with an apology if a person wanted peace more than repair. Wade did not soften it. You will not ride for Lariat Star this season, he said. Your wages are forfeit to the flour account and Lute's lost horse time. If your mother needs medicine, I will send it through Dr. Voss in Cedar Draw, not through you. If you want work after winter, you start by mending the south fence for no pay until the flour is made right. Ben lowered his head. That is fair. It is less than fair, Mateo said. Take it before we improve it. Ben almost smiled and failed. He looked at Eliza. I am sorry, Miss Crane. Sorry is a start, she said. Flour is the debt. Yes, ma'am. He rode out under the stars, not forgiven fully, not destroyed for one desperate wrong, but carrying a cost he could measure. Eliza respected Wade more for that than she would have respected easy mercy. The next day, Wade rode beside the wagon at a walk. You approved, he asked. Of Ben? Of the sentence? I am not the judge. No, but you know what it is to have family need used against you. She looked over the mule's ears toward the long trail. You left a door for him to become honest again, but you made him pay before walking through it. That is the difference between mercy and pretending. Wade nodded slowly. My father pretended. Men stole small until they stole big. I have tried to be harder. You are not hard. He glanced at her. You are careful where softness goes, she said. That seemed to move him more than praise. They reached Lariat Star near dusk on the fourth day. The ranch looked changed, though nothing had been repaired yet. The same tin roof shone. The same barn leaned. The same dust lay in the yard. But the gate did not look like an entrance to a failing place now. It looked like a threshold. Eliza climbed down before Wade could help and stood by the porch. Her bride trunk sat where it had been unloaded the first day. Kareen's ribbons were still inside. Kareen's combs. Kareen's blue dress. Things chosen for a woman who had never meant to come. I should send that trunk back, Eliza said. Wade stood beside the wagon, hat in his hands. If you want. I do, but I will keep the black dress. It is mine. Good. And I will take my wages. Already counted. And my fare. He drew the envelope from his vest and held it out. This time it was dry. Eliza took it, opened it, counted every bill while he watched without offense, then tucked it into her carpet bag. Now, she said, I am not stranded, unpaid, or mistaken. Wade's voice went quiet. No. Ask me. He came up the porch steps, but stopped one step below her, so their eyes were level. Eliza Crane, may I court you with honest intention, clean hands, and no claim on your answer? She let herself look at him fully, at the dust in the lines beside his eyes, at the weariness, at the hope he was trying not to press on her. This was not the fantasy Kareen had rejected or the bargain Quill had mocked. This was a man with a damaged ranch, a paid contract, a stubborn crew, and a way of waiting that made room. Yes, she said, you may court me. He smiled, but he did not reach for her until she held out her hand. When his fingers closed around hers, the touch was warm, dry, and careful. No crowd cheered. No villain watched. No contract changed hands. That made it feel truer. First rule, she said. Already. Courtship requires supper. I can manage coffee. Can you? With supervision. She laughed then, and the sound surprised them both. It moved through the porch into the open door and seemed to settle inside the house before she did. Subscribe for more clean, romantic Wild West stories where wrong brides, lonely ranchers, and brave frontier women find home by choice. There was still work after the happy part, but Eliza's life did not need 4 endings to prove one truth. The barn roof was patched, Ben Tabor came back to mend the south fence without pay, and Quill's bridge stayed under inspection long enough for Cedar Draw to learn that posted tolls and open pens were better than polished threats. Corrine's father sent a cold letter demanding the trunk and suggesting Eliza had behaved above her station. Eliza packed the ribbons, combs, and blue dress herself, then wrote one sentence on a separate page. "I was not the wrong bride. I was the wrong woman to underestimate." She did not show Wade until after she sealed it. When he read the copy she kept, he laughed so hard Mateo came in from the yard to ask whether something had broken. "Only a family habit," Eliza said. In September, Captain Bellwether's payment draft cleared. Wade paid the bank note before Quill could circle it again. He paid the men. He paid Eliza last because she insisted on checking every other account first, then frowned when he added a bonus for recovered cattle. "This is too much," she said. "It is recovery pay. I was already paid as cook and tally keeper. You also rang stolen cattle out of Sycamore Bend. That was music. Then music pays well at Lariat Star." She tried to glare, failed, took the money, wrote it in the book under her own name. The town of Cedar Draw did not transform into a paradise. Some people who had laughed at the stage now nodded too eagerly. Jasper Quill remained rich enough to be dangerous, but no longer unquestioned. Cattle outfits asked to see his pens, and the bank refused his next land assignment until Sycamore Bend was settled. Ben did the fence work quietly, accepted Lute's cold shoulder, and did not ask to be forgiven before the rails stood straight. On the last day, Eliza handed him a sack of flour. "This is not from the debt," she said. "This is from me." Ben's eyes reddened. "Why?" "Because hunger made you easier to buy. It should not get the last word." He took the sack like it weighed more than flour. Mateo watched from the barn and said later, "You are dangerous with mercy." "So are you with opinions," Eliza said. He shrugged. "Both are useful." Wade courted as he had promised, slowly, publicly enough to be honorable, privately enough to be sincere. He came to the kitchen door when Eliza was working and asked whether she had time to walk. If she said no, he accepted no. If she said yes, they walked the fence line, the garden patch, the creek bed, the porch boards that needed replacing. He did not bring flowers from town. He brought hinges, seed packets, a bolt of sturdy brown calico, and once a book of poems he admitted he had not understood but thought she might enjoy better than he did. She did. One evening after the first cool wind moved across the panhandle, Eliza found Wade in the barn sanding a chair. It was not the porch chair from her first supper. It was smaller, with a curved back and a seat newly woven from rawhide strips. "Who is that for?" she asked. He looked caught, which delighted her. "Kitchen," he said. "The kitchen has chairs. Not one that is yours by first right." The old fear rose, not because of him, but because wanting had become easier, and easy wanting frightened her. "A chair is a dangerous thing," she said lightly. "I know. Do you?" He set the sandpaper down. "At my mother's table, my father sat first, men next, hired hands if any space remained. Women served until food was cold. I thought that was order when I was small. Then my mother died standing by a stove while men praised her cooking. I decided if I ever had a house worth keeping, no woman would earn her chair by wearing herself out." Eliza's throat closed. Wade touched the chair back. "This is not a proposal, not yet. It is a promise that if you keep sitting at my table, the place is not borrowed." She crossed the barn slowly and ran her fingers over the rawhide weave. "Ask me the not yet question someday," she said. His breath caught. "Not tonight," she added. "No, not tonight. But someday. Someday with clean boots." She smiled. "You learn." By November, the Lariat Star had new roof patches, a repaired south fence, 2 winter calves earlier than expected, and a kitchen chair no one else used. Eliza wrote to a cousin she trusted in Weatherford and told her there was work in Texas if a woman wanted wages instead of pity. She did not mention marriage first. She mentioned the ledger, the garden, the cattle, the river, and a man who knew how to ask. On the first Sunday of Advent, Wade drove Eliza to Cedar Draw in the clean wagon, not the trail wagon, the light one with a mended seat. She wore the black dress she had arrived in, altered at the waist, with a new brown shawl bought from her own wages. Wade wore a dark coat and looked more nervous than he had at Glass River. "It is only church," she said. "No, it is not." He was right. People turned when they entered. Some remembered the stage day. Some remembered Quill's bridge. Some remembered that she had stood on a wagon tongue with a slate book and told a powerful man no. Eliza felt the old instinct to shrink, then felt Wade stop beside her instead of pulling her forward. "Ready?" he asked. Her answer mattered even here. "Yes." They walked in together. After service, Jasper Quill stood near the mercantile, thinner in pride if not in body. He did not approach, but Kareen's father had sent a man from Abilene to retrieve the trunk, and that man waited by the wagon with a receipt. "Miss Hart's property," he said. Eliza lifted the trunk down herself, with Wade taking the other handle only when she nodded. The man counted the items, frowned at the missing black dress, and opened his mouth. "The black dress is mine," Eliza said. "Mr. Hart expected. Mr. Hart sent me west in it." The man closed his mouth. She handed him the receipt and watched the trunk leave. It did not feel like losing the last piece of Kareen. It felt like clearing a doorway. Wade stood beside her, hands still, letting her have the whole moment. "I thought I would feel angrier," she said. "Do you?" "No, I feel lighter." "Good." She looked at him. "You are allowed to be angry on my behalf." "I am." "You are hiding it well." "I am considering whether knocking a trunk over in the street would improve your morning." She laughed. "It would not." "Then I will remain a gentleman under protest." That was when Quill's former bridge clerk, now working under bank oversight, crossed the street and tipped his hat to Eliza. "Miss Crane," he said, "the bank board asked me to tell you they will accept your tally copy for the cattle inquiry." Eliza glanced at Wade. "My copy?" "Yes, ma'am. Captain Bellwether said your figures were cleaner than ours." In another life, Eliza would have lowered her eyes and said it was nothing. In this one, she said, "I will bring it Tuesday." The clerk nodded and left. Wade's pride in her was so visible she had to look away. "Do not," she warned. "I have said nothing. Your face is shouting. It often misbehaves." They drove home under a pale sky. Halfway to Lariat Star, Wade stopped the wagon near the same ridge where the ranch first came into view. Winter grass moved silver below. The house roof flashed. Smoke rose from the kitchen chimney because Mateo had promised to keep the fire and threatened to make coffee if they delayed. Wade set the brake. Eliza looked at him. "If this is where you tell me the team needs rest, I will not believe you." "The team is fine." He climbed down, came around, and offered his hand. She took it. They stood by the wagon road with the ranch below, and the whole hard season behind them. Wade removed his hat. "Eliza Crane," he said, voice steady despite the nerves in his eyes. "I came to Cedar Draw expecting a bride bargain and found a woman who saved my herd, my ranch, and the part of me that had started thinking survival was enough. I love you. I would like to marry you if you freely choose me. If you need more time, I will court you longer. If you choose no, your wages, your chair, and your place in my respect stay yours." Eliza had thought she might cry when a man asked her properly. Instead, she smiled. "That was a very long question. I had to include the legal protections." There were no legal protections. Emotional ones then. She looked at the Lariat Star, at the place that had been nearly taken, at the road that had brought her as a mistake and now waited under her own feet, at the man who had asked as if her answer could break his heart but not his honor. "Yes," she said, "I choose you." He closed his eyes briefly, and when he opened them, there was no triumph in his face, only gratitude so deep it humbled them both. She stepped closer. "Now you may kiss me." "May I?" "Wade." He laughed softly, then kissed her once, clean and careful and full of all the waiting they had survived. It was not a claim. It was an answer received. They married in January at Lariat Star, not because Cedar Draw demanded a spectacle, but because the ranch had earned the right to witness joy. Mateo stood with Wade. Lute cried and denied it. Ben Tabor brought flour without being asked. Captain Bellwether sent a stiff note of congratulations and a receipt copy tied with blue string. Even the bank clerk came, carrying a cake from his mother, and looking relieved, nobody asked him to count cattle. Corrine did not come. She sent a card with 3 polite sentences and no apology. Eliza placed it in the stove without ceremony. Some debts did not need collecting. Some doors closed best without slamming. Jasper Quill left Cedar Draw before spring. Not ruined into poverty, not dragged through a melodrama, but stripped of the local obedience that had made him powerful. His bridge reopened under county oversight. His tolls were posted publicly. His pens were inspected by men who had learned to count what stood in front of them. That was enough. The country did not become fair overnight, but one corner of it became harder to steal. At the first thaw, Eliza drove the light wagon to Glass River with Wade beside her. They did not go for cattle. They went because she wanted to see the ford in daylight when it was not trying to take everything from them. The river ran lower, clear over stone shelves. Cottonwoods showed new buds. On the far bank, the old wheel ruts remained, hardened into the mud like memory. Eliza stepped down and stood at the edge. "We crossed there," she said. "You crossed there," Wade answered. "Wade." He accepted the correction. She took the iron triangle from the wagon. It hung there still, polished now from use. At Lariat Star, it called men to supper, horses to feed, and sometimes Wade from the barn when he forgot time. Eliza held it over the water and struck it once. The note rang across Glass River, bright and clean. No cattle answered. No men shouted. No villain waited on the bridge. The sound went out and came back softer from the far bank. Eliza smiled. Then she walked to the wagon, climbed onto the driver's seat, and took the reins. Wade settled beside her without reaching for them. "Home?" he asked. Eliza looked once more at the ford, then at the open road to Lariat Star. "Home," she said, and drove them there herself.